Today's segment of Sound Balming is brought to you by Jimmy and Mary's Authentic Body Care. I cannot express to you how much we love their products. Although we use them all year, as the weather gets colder, we need these products even more. The dreaded drop in temperature, the dryness, the itchiness, and the unnecessary flakiness is inevitable. Shea butter from Jimmy and Mary's Authentic Body Care is the only thing that works for my skin and hair needs. Not only do these products cure my dry skin, the whipped butter goes on smoothly and doesn't leave that uncomfortably thick, sticky residue. Bonus? It smells absolutely amazing. There are so many different scents to choose from too. Not only do they carry skincare products, there are products for authentic living, face, shower, hair and beard, spritzers and perfumes, and bath products. Let me tell you, we cannot even keep the stuff in the studio. The entire production team as well as all our children use Jimmy and Mary's product. Jimmy and Mary's take pride in creating quality, handcrafted products from simple ingredients for the entire family. Their products are made for all skin types and are 100% handmade, 100% vegan, and 100% cruelty-free. Skincare is important. Moisture is key, and keeping our skin and hair hydrated is essential. I cannot emphasize how much we trust Jimmy and Mary's for all of our skincare needs. Hurry on up to jimmyandmarys.com and check out their products. Did I mention service is fast and efficient too? Don't forget to mention that you heard about Jimmy and Mary's Authentic Skincare on Sound Balming. Use the discount code SOUNDBALM20 to get 15% off. That's SOUNDBALM20 for 15% off at Jimmy and Mary's Authentic Skincare.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sound Bombing. I created this show for people who want to experience a radical, life-changing journey through the sounds of my diverse guests. I hope that each sound you hear on this show will strengthen your faith, encourage your dreams, and challenge you to awaken the greatness within you.
Drop the bombs. Drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We come to drop the bomb. Drop the bomb.
This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
LaMarr, Darnell Shields.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, whatever time of the day it is. Welcome to Sound Bombing. I'm your host, Dr. LaMarr Darnell Shields, the creator of Sound Bombing, and I'm so excited that you decided to hang out with me today. My goal with this show is to introduce you to people with ideas that will help you unlock your full potential. Just like our last week's guest, Renee Jones. Renee Jones talked about weight loss and how if we just change our thinking, we can change our diet. And she talked about some very specific strategies that the average person can use when it comes to losing weight. And so Renee gave us a lot of information. So shout out to Renee, check her out if you all are following the shows in order. And today is no different. But before we get into our great guest that's standing by, I want to thank all of you for all of your emails and all of your messages. Thank you for joining us on all the platforms, but we want you to leave some comments. We want you to share us with all of your friends. If you would like to support the show, you can definitely go to buymeacupofcoffee.com and you can find Sound Bombing there. We're so honored and grateful that you decided to hang out with me for a powerful hour of information, not because I am amazing, not because I do anything amazing. I just listen to what my engineer says to me, Alex, and I listen to what my amazing producer, Nicole Klempaka, gives to me. And I am just here to celebrate and honor all the great people that come onto the show. And you know, if you are new, hey, welcome to the Bomb Shelter. If you are if you're an old head, you know what we always do before we start our show. We like to do our 3 breaths. For those that don't know, I'm an avid meditator. I've been meditating for years. I like to focus on the breath and bring some positive energy to the airwaves. So I want my guest who's sitting here patiently waiting. And for all of you, if you're driving, please don't do this while you're driving. We don't want you to have an accident and blame it on me. I know a lot of people, but those judges in those other states, they may not know me. And so they may not allow you to, well, I was meditating when LaMarr asked me to. So I'm telling you just to pull over. So here we go with our 3 breaths. Put your feet on the floor and I want your palms facing up. And I want you just to actually focus on your body. Just do a scan from your body, from the crown of your head. You're going to slowly go all the way to the balls of your feet. Just do a scan. And we're just doing a quick check-in because we have a lot going on in the world. And so I want to just check in and be of support to you. And now what I want you to do, I want you to slowly close your eyes and roll your shoulders back. And we're going to start with our first breath. Inhale. We're going to hold it for 3 seconds. Inhale through our nostrils. Hold it for 3 seconds, blow it out. We're gonna go a little deeper with 5 seconds inhalation, again, through our nostrils. Inhale and let it out. Now, sound bombers, we're going to go a little deeper. We're gonna do 10 seconds. So we're gonna inhale, hold it, exhale. And what do we call that? We call that the breath of life. Now that we are ready, as they say, let's get this party started. In order to change your perspective, you need to change your emotional and mental inputs. In life, nothing is wrong or right, rare circumstances aside. Wrong and right, especially in regards to where you want to go in life, are relative terms. What so many people fail to realize is both of those terms are more of an approach to the journey, not the end of the journey itself. You are successful when you are walking your path, always learning, always growing. You are doing what you love when you see every moment as an opportunity. It's on to discover what your opportunity is. It is on you to discover that. And it has been shared that it takes up to 6 positive thoughts to counteract 1 negative thought, because happiness is something found within. Begin creating change in your perspective. You can have a profound impact on your happiness. And you know I talk about this all the time in the Bomb Shelter, and I'm constantly bringing on people that will elevate that energy in your life. And our next guest, Case Kenny, is going to do that. As he says, all it takes for you to change your life in many circumstances is 1 person's perspective. Case Kenny is an internet entrepreneur, podcaster, recording artist, and author from, the best city in the world. I'm always talking about Chicago, who is completely in sync with the Millennium Pause and has taken the concept of a side hustle to a whole another level. At his core, he considers himself a writer first and then a content creator. In February 24, 2014, he began pursuing an email newsletter that offers transparent, zero fluff perspectives and stories by more than 500 contributors worldwide for fellow millennials. Hungry for more, he co-founded Trep Media Group, an all-digital first platform that now publishes Pursuit, HDF Magazine, and the podcast, The Hustle Sold Separately. I love that. He also does his personal podcast called The New Mindset, which ranks among the top 100 podcasts in the U.S. Case Kenny calls himself a realist, and we're going to see how real he is because he is joining me today in the Bomb Shelter. How you doing, brother? Thanks for joining me today.
I'm great. Thank you for the intro. That was great. So I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, man, you from the city of Wynn, man. You from the Chi. So, of course,
right.
I am going to give you the best, the dopest intro. But it wasn't like I was making stuff up because, like you said, you don't like the fluff. You've done some amazing things. Let our listeners know where you're calling in from right now. And then also let us know how you're doing. I always like to check in case with all of my people who are dealing with this pandemic, and we all are. So where you calling in from and how are you holding up with the pandemic?
Yeah, right on. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I'm in Chicago, Illinois right now. I'm in my apartment. I feel great. We're recording this on a Monday, and I love Mondays. I really do. Nothing invigorates me more than like Monday is my jam. I just thrive off it. So I'm doing good, all things considered. Like I'm really, it's weird. I say that I've been thriving, which is, an odd thing to say, I suppose, during all this, but I've really found a way to tap into what makes me happy, what makes me productive. So I can't complain.
I love that. So what excites you about Mondays? I mean, I'm thinking about when I was in school and Sunday rolled around, I was up probably watching football. And then I was like, man, Monday? Oh Lord, I didn't finish my homework. Now I'm moving my teacher out. I didn't finish my lesson plan. I was hanging out. What is it about Mondays that excites you? Because I want my listeners to be excited, not about Friday, but about Monday and what's in store for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for one, I release new podcast episodes every Monday. So I spend a lot of the day responding to feedback, answering DMs, text, emails, things like that. And I just released a new episode this morning. So really jazzed about that. And I don't know, it's a cliche thing to say, but like Monday sets the tone for the entire week. And I've got big plans for the week. So I just always feel good and rested and amped up for what I'm going to do. I mean, I spend a lot of time every week creating, producing, and writing. And like today's my day to really amp myself up about all the cool stuff I'm going to get into this week. So yeah, all things considered, I mean, it's just a great way to start, my vision for what I'm going to accomplish this week.
Well, we're going to talk about all the great things that you're doing, but there's a statement that I live by, and I want to just unpack it and share with you and see if it's something that you sort of fall in line with. When you win the morning, you win the day. I'm sure you've heard that. When you win the morning, you win the day. Do you agree with a statement like that? And if so, what does it mean to you? If not, then explain why.
Yeah, no, I definitely do. I mean, the morning is the time where you point yourself in the direction you want to go. And I think if you wake up and you start running and you don't really take time to ground yourself in what you want to accomplish, it's kind of tough to know where you're going if you don't have not a destination necessarily, but something you want to accomplish, small steps, big steps. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spend the morning mapping out what exactly it is I want to do in the day and not feeling rushed. I remember when I didn't really used to have a good hold of the morning, I would wake up and fly right into doing whatever it was I needed to do. And now I really try to get up earlier and like not get into the busy work before I get down to like establishing some of the higher level objectives that I want to accomplish in the day. So I couldn't agree more.
So walk me through some of the things that you do early to prepare for the day, because you are a busy guy. I mean, you've been featured in Forbes, Chicago Tribune. You're a polyglot. You speak Arabic, Hindi, Urdu, Mandarin. First of all, how do you have time? First of all, let's unpack Mandarin. I mean, I speak Spanish. I mean, Mandarin we know is one of the hardest languages to learn. How do you squeeze all of that into a day, and how do you prepare for the day? And was Case Kenny always like this? Like if I sat next to you in Mr. Jones's geometry class sophomore year, and then I see you 10 years later, what I've said to you, man, Case, I knew you would be doing some amazing things.
I mean, I'm a totally different person than I was so I majored in those languages in college. That's where I picked them up. I would say I'm kind of lapsed as far as practicing them now. But I lived in China and I did the whole thing, but it's been a long time. So I'm not really using those day to day, but I mean, I have totally changed since I was in high school, college, even 10 years ago out of college. I'm 32 now. Totally different person. I think anyone who knew me then would know that I was very determined and stubborn in the sense that, when I had something on my brain, I was going to figure out a way to get it done or approach it. But what that thing is or was is totally different than what it is today. It's funny when I reconnect with like someone from college or even high school, they're like, "You're doing what? Like you're a professional podcaster?" Like I never saw that coming. They would say, "We knew you were going to do something cool or like you were going to be successful, but not that." So yeah, it's very the mindset is definitely there. The foundation was there, but the what very different than I even expected of myself, certainly.
So your morning, what is that like? Because you do a lot, you have a lot on your plate, And I know a lot of folks are like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. Walk us through what a morning routine looks like to you, because I believe that some of the most productive people, I read Inc. magazine, I read Fast Company magazine. I love every year, and I'm sure you probably tap into them. Every year they talk about the most productive or the most productive people on the planet, and they outline their day. And I think when I made that statement, you win the morning, you win the day, and we both agree with that. And I'm glad that you do agree with that, because you have to with your schedule. Walk us through what that morning routine is like, and then also share with us the days that you're off and what that's like. Because I can talk about the days when I don't do ABC and I go right into DEF, and then I'm like FUCK'd for the rest of the BAY. So walk us through that, man.
Yeah. I'm definitely not some shining beacon of morning routine. But like, I mean, sometimes I'll wake up and I'm like, man, I got to get right down to this thing that just popped in my inbox. Like I don't have time to, fully sync up. But for the most part, what I do is very specific to me. And I do a lot of work on the podcast and as a professional content creator around music. So my music of choice is house music.
Yes.
So whether that's low tempo house music or more uplifting or like progressive house or
man, you're a real
house,
Chicagoan, bro. Just because you said house music and you're younger than I am, and the fact that you respect the genre enough to say low grade, high grade, but just house music. Man, I worked out today. There's a guy named DJ Spivey I'm following right now. So shout out to DJ Spivey. I don't know him. I don't think he's a Chicago house DJ, but lately I've been tapping into his music, and that music really, really gives me hype. So shout out to you, man. Kudos for you just saying, because a lot of folks in that age genre, man, if it's not Migos, if it's not, Drake, if it's not all the little ones and the old ones, old so-and-so, little so-and-so, this baby, that baby.
You said it. That's so funny. Yeah, but I mean, you said it right there. You say hype. Like that's what my morning routine is, getting myself in the right headspace. Like there is something about the right music, specifically house music, that just gets me in the right headspace. That is making me feel uplifted and vulnerable and just amped. And without that, I really struggle to like get my day started and like move towards the things I need to get done. So like my morning routine is pretty simple. I'll get up, I'll pour coffee, I'll put on my headphones, and I'll listen to music of choice. And I'll stand in my window. I live 50 stories up right on the Chicago River. I'll look right out over the city, and I'll get myself in the right headspace. Like I find it very difficult to create or do anything unless I'm in that headspace. Like, and I've been podcasting for years and writing for years. And any single time I've written anything of note or merit or anything that's gone viral or shared, it's because I'm listening to the right music. The right music gets me just feeling vulnerable, aware, my mind and body in the same place, and I just feel great. So that's kind of a vague answer to my morning routine, but that is always the case before I get down to like a to-do list or prioritizing or looking at my calendar or anything like that. It's all about music and mindfulness and my body in the same place and just observing and then getting ready to rock. And that might only be 5 minutes because, I woke up too late. Because again, I'm not perfect, but it always involves music. So that's very, very crucial to me.
Well, speaking of writing, one of the things that I know that you're known for is your email newsletter. And am I pronouncing it correctly? Pursuit?
Yeah, it's Pursuit.
So tell us what Pursuit stands for and explain it to our audience.
Yeah. So actually at this point, as of recording today, it's now Pursuit is all under the New Mindset Who Dis umbrella. So the Pursuit email still is around. It just comes from New Mindset Who Dis. But I started Pursuit, to your point, in 2014, just as an outlet, as a hobby. I've always been a pretty voracious reader and writer. And, 2014, I was working at an ad agency in Chicago. And I was like, I really want to start writing again. I want to start sharing things. And my whole concept was the power of perspective, how one random perspective that I read on the internet or hear on the radio or see on YouTube can totally change my mind. It could change my mind about what's possible. It can inspire me. Just one random person. It doesn't have to be a successful person. It could be a random person from the corner of the internet who says something about something. And I'm like, wow, I never thought about that. So I started Pursuit as this idea of, helping you pursue, your best life, right? And so I started sourcing content from all these different creators. I started writing content myself. And it really taught me everything that I know now about writing online, building a brand online, being an effective communicator. And that journey is what led me to where I am today, which is, a podcaster on mindfulness. So the whole idea of perspective led me to that of, okay, if I'm inspired by other people's perspective, what more can I find in myself? So long-winded fast forward there. But yeah, that's how Pursuit started. An email newsletter kind of put me on the map, taught me everything I knew. And then after 4 years of doing that, I was like, I really want to challenge myself. So I started a podcast, and the podcast is what humbly has blown up in the past 2 years.
So let's unpack this word perspectives. You said that quite a bit throughout the conversation. So why do you expand your mindset, or how have you expanded your mindset through exposure to other folks' perspectives? And what are some of the things that you've learned that really might have surprised you about some things that you now sort of agree or believe in?
Oh man, so many things. I mean, I think fundamentally leaning in and being eager to hear other people's perspective has taught me the most powerful truth I know, which is that I am never alone in pretty much anything that I'm going through. I think a lot of the times we put ourselves in a corner thinking that we're alone in what we're doing. We're falling behind everyone else. We're doing it the wrong way. Everyone else is doing it the right way. But you start taking a look at other people's perspectives. You're like, okay, that is just not true. That's not true. So it levels the playing field for one. And I think that's really, really powerful, because a lot of times we put ourselves in a corner where we're the odd man, the odd woman out. And that really does a lot to make us anxious and frustrated. So that's one. And two, like, I not be specific, but I like just to learn, like, from a entrepreneurial sense, what is possible, just being inspired by people making a living doing the most random things. It totally inspired me. I make a living from talking about mindfulness on the internet. I make a living from posting inspirational quotes online. I make a living doing really, really random things that I never thought was possible. And I would say, to a great degree, what made me go after it was the fact that I saw on the internet, years ago, that someone made a living from knitting little hats for cats and selling them on their Shopify store. Like, random things like that just taught me that I don't have to think inside this box, that there is no right way to, one, be happy, or two, make a living. So yeah, like, I'm all in on this word perspective 100%, because it teaches me about what's possible. And it also teaches me about who I am, where I am in the universe, and that, with a high degree of confidence, I'm never alone. I'm not falling behind. I'm not the odd man out. And it just takes a degree of stepping back and absorbing some of that perspective to prove it to myself.
So what made you think that you could do what you're doing, Case? Like, what was inside of you that spoke to you and said, I could actually do this? You have no experience in it. You just watch people do it. You talked about the person knitting hats for a cat. What was inside of you that said that you can do this? And what is the it that makes yours different from other people?
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest, for a long time, I probably didn't think that. 2014 to 2018, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I enjoy this, but I'm not sure that I can do this for a living, right? 2018, though, is where things really changed for me. I started the podcast, and humbly, it just blew up. And I think the it factor there was, I'm just a regular guy. I'm just a dude. I like house music. I like working out. I like going to Chipotle. I wear a backwards hat. Like, I like going to the club, right, when the club is open. I think that's really helped me, because I have an approach to, like, mindfulness and spirituality and meditation that is just rooted in just being a guy, just being a human, not being overly complicated, or, saying things that are vague, like, oh, align your vibration with the, like, things like that just don't make sense to me. No disrespect to those things. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I approach everything in a very, very simple way. If you read any of the reviews on my podcast, they all say the same thing, which is, Case says what is obvious, but what no one is saying, or is saying it in a way that is so simple that it's impossible to ignore. And I think that's always served me well. Like, I'm a simple dude, and I've just found a way to communicate in a simple way. And it's, before I kind of had doubts in that, but 2018, the podcast blew up, top 25 on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. And then, I wrote my first book. I've sold, 50,000 copies of that in just a couple of months. Like, things just started to align for me. And it was really great. But I think it comes back to just the manner of fact way that I approach these topics, not because I think it's sellable, but because that's the way that it makes sense to me. And I would never talk about something that doesn't make sense to me in a way that's personal to me. So I'm just a dude sharing my feelings. In fact, I call myself a dude bro guy on the podcast because that's who I am. I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I'm not some kind of guy who, went off to, Southeast Asia and studied and came back. Like, no, I'm just a guy who lives in Chicago who, found a way to understand mindfulness and self-awareness, and I share it. So it's worked really well for me. And I've been really, really humbled by the feedback.
Well, I know one of the things that you're known for is mixing together dance, music, and meditation and mindfulness. Yeah. Explain to us, how do you do it? Because I know growing up in Chicago, house music was like meditation. I remember my friend, shout out to my good friend, Pastor John Hanna. He's a well-known pastor in Chicago. And I remember John saying, and this was so funny, he was like, the devil had to deliver me from house music. Now, he was being facetious, but he was basically saying it had such a hold on him. Now, he wasn't calling house music devilish, but he was just using a term that he would use as a pastor because he loved it so much. It puts you sort of in a trance. And I guess people can argue that other types of music they will do the same. But why do you mix together dance music and meditation music? And what's the connection between all of those, dance music, meditation, and mindfulness?
Yeah. I'm glad we're chatting because you get it. You get the Chicago house music root scene. So for me, it kind of came out in a roundabout way. I've always been really big into house music, or even broader, just call it dance music, just because there's so many genres. And I used to go to all the different festivals, and I would go to all the shows. I would fly out. I would do it all, and I was always really into it. And it was like a passion of mine. And then one day I was working on my podcast, and I was like playing a clip from it that I was re-listening to, and I also had my Spotify open, and I was listening to music, and it was like one was in one window and another was in another, and they were just started to play over each other. And I was like, man, that's kind of cool. That's kind of a vibe. Like, I listen to a lot of DJ sets, and the DJ will play its music, and then in between tracks he'll promote something, his new album, his new concert, his new tour, something like that. I was like, man, it would be really cool if instead of that, in the breakdown or the buildup, if I just introduced some mindfulness elements, because I know personally that, to my point earlier, the right music puts me in the right headspace. I know that fundamentally, like, I need it, I require it, I have to have it. So I was like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. So I started playing around with how to make that work. And I released a couple episodes with some smaller DJs and producers. Basically, I would collaborate with them, and we would put this thing together, and it blew up. They became my top episodes, most downloaded episodes. And it just started to really, really work. I've never been great at meditating in the classic sense, right? In the classic, silent, ground yourself, 10-minute, 20-minute sense. I'm just easily distracted. To my point, I'm just a dude. But I found myself that when I do these, it's like active meditation for me. Like, I'm walking, I'm running, I'm working out, I'm doing something, pacing around my apartment. And it just puts me in the right headspace. The headspace being one that is optimistic, that is honest. Honest, I think, is super important to me. Like, I think meditation is all about being honest with yourself, honest about how you feel, honest about where you are. And the right music does that to me, like, immediately. So I've gone all in on it. I'm collaborating with a bunch of labels, a bunch of big DJs. I came out with my own music, my own album, and I'm all about it. And it's pretty unique. I don't really know anyone who's doing it like I'm doing it. So again, to your earlier question, it's kind of put me on the map in a unique way. So very, very grateful for it, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I just released a new music one today. I call it Music and Mindfulness is what I call it.
Well, brother, you're releasing music. You've written several best-selling journals. I mean, one of them, you have several, the 60-day New Mindset journal, as well as Single is Your Superpower. So you talked about the music. You talked about connecting the correlation between mindfulness, meditation, and music. Talk to me about your journals. What was the inspiration for those journals? And if I were to have a journal, I'm surprised my producer didn't get one for me ahead of time, but typically she does. What should I expect, or what should my listeners expect from going through both of the books, the 60-day New Mindset journal, as well as Single is Your Superpower?
Yeah, no, I'll get you a journal for sure. So the journal is a very simple concept. It's basically the idea that, for me, mindfulness is synonymous with self-awareness. And self-awareness comes from asking yourself the right questions. If you're not a self-aware person, it's largely coming from the fact that, you have these anxieties or questions about your life, but you're not asking yourself questions, right? You're moving on, you're diving into other things, you're ignoring those things. So for me, it's like, if I want to really know myself, if I want to know who I am, what I want, what I deserve, the direction of my life I want to head, I need to ask myself pointed, intentional questions. So I designed this journal to basically do just that. And that's not that earth-shattering, I suppose, but I've owned a lot of journals over the years. And they're either too unprompted, like just a blank page, and it's like, hey, write whatever you want. But to my point earlier, I can't meditate very well. I'm distracted, much less sit down and fill a blank page with my thoughts. So that's never worked well for me. The other flip side of that is I've had journals that are too prompted. It's like, do this, do that, fill this in, do that. Like, it's too much. So I designed this concept that was like half prompted, half unprompted, 60 days worth of content, 10 minutes a day, do it any time of day, morning, noon, night, doesn't matter. And do it in a way that's kind of cheeky and clever and fun, right? I think a lot of times people think about journaling as, it's a burden. It's something that you have to do. This is like, you want to do it because it's unique questions. It's really highlighting what you're thinking. So I put that together, started selling them earlier this year, and it's really, again, blown up, humbly so. And it's been really exciting. So that's the 60-day new mindset journal. And then from that, people were like, Case, this is really awesome. Like, what about journaling for relationships? Like, one of the answers I keep coming up with when I'm doing the journal is I'm frustrated, or I feel lost in my dating life. I'm single, can't get it right. I keep, getting screwed over or rejected, or I just can't find my rhythm. So I was like, okay, let me put my thoughts together. So I came up with this other concept called Single is Your Superpower. It's basically a journal workbook concept to help you when you're single, to help root you in your why, in your what, in your how, to make you feel invigorated about dating with purpose, with integrity, and just being happier while you do it. So yeah, so both are concepts that are very lean in. I'm not big on writing books where someone reads it and just sits back. I'm big about creating interactive experiences where you read it, but you're involved in it. You write it, you touch it, you feel it, you smell it, like you're all in. So yeah, that's the 60-day new mindset journal. That Single is Your Superpower, and it basically brings those concepts to life.
So I hear, as you're talking and as I'm reading the things that were shared with me, as I looked at some of the videos and audio that was shared with me, you have a high level of optimism and positivity that I love, and also a level of confidence. What is the key to your optimism and positivity? And then also, what helps you fortify your confidence and self-esteem every day? Because people, when I bring these people on to the showcase, they look at you, they look at me. We've spoken all over the country. We've written books. We've hung out with some celebrities, some people that people don't know. They're celebrity in their own right. And they don't get a chance to hear like our own pain, our own struggle. And they're like, oh, your life is easy because it's like when they go to the gym, they say, oh, you work out, because you're strong. No, you're strong because you work out. That's the mindset. So what is the key to your optimism and positivity and self-confidence? And then also, what message do you have for people who tend to, err on the opposite, the lack of optimism, the lack of positivity? And Case, with what's going on in the world, Chicago alone, where you are, very violent city, a city I love, but very violent city. What's happening in politics, what's happening with racial tension across the country, COVID and poverty. Help our listeners understand how you stay positive and what should they be doing, and what are some questions that they should be asking themselves during this time.
Yeah. Love the question. I mean, you basically just said it. It's that you're strong because you work out, not you work out because you're strong. It's the same with confidence, and it's the same with optimism, right? You're confident because you practice confidence. You're optimistic because you practice optimistic, right? It's not something you're necessarily born with. Some people are. I think I am. Genetically, fundamentally, whatever. I'm just wired to be glass half full. But it's not particularly helpful to tell people just to be that way. The truth is, confidence, optimism, the perspective, the lens through which you look at life is acquired. It's acquired through practice. And for me, so many things go into this. But I mean, fundamentally, not to be cliche, but it is a choice. It is absolutely a choice. Like, a lot of people be like, it's tough to be optimistic when I can be anxious. I'm like, yeah, of course. but any choice is going to be tough. Like you just have, like, if you want to be optimistic, you have to find a way to be optimistic. But for me, like, there's a bunch of different mindsets, of course, that go into it. One of the ways that really helps me is, like, I think a lot of people become less optimistic because they beat themselves up about one, imperfections, two, mistakes, three, thoughts of comparison to others, right? These are the things that beat down your ability to be optimistic. I think if we didn't have those things, we would be naturally optimistic, but we've got, boom, I was rejected. Boom, I don't have as much money in the bank as I should. Boom, I'm not succeeding in my love life. So those things add up, right? And for me, it's like this idea that, if you're constantly wishing away your mistakes, your insecurities, your failures, what you're doing in effect is you're also wishing to get rid of the wisdom that you have. So there's a quote, I don't know who said it, but it was like, when you erase the mistakes of your past, you erase the mistakes of your present. And for me, I really like that, because that grounds me in why I'm optimistic. That when the things that try to trip up my optimism or my confidence, right, failures, flops, rejections, anxiety, I look at it for what it is fundamentally, and that's wisdom of the present. Like, again, this is a choice, and it's not easy for everyone to do this, but I can look at a time where I dated someone and it fell apart. I dated someone and she rejected me, right? Something like that. And I can look at that and I could be like, man, like, it's tough to be confident with that in my backdrop, right? Or, I worked in sales for a while. I lost a sale, man. It's tough to be optimistic about my future in this career because I keep losing deals. I can look at it that way, or I can choose to look at it for what it is. Those, quote, bad things gave me wisdom of the present. It opened my eyes to what red flags in a relationship looked like. It opened my eyes to what I deserve in a relationship. It opened my eyes to what I know I want in a partner. It opened my eyes to my career, what I'm good at, what I might not be great at. It opened my eyes, and that's wisdom of the present. So, I think that the second that you stop wishing away those things is the second that you basically remove that friction to be optimistic in your life. So, long-winded way of saying, it comes down to being honest with yourself. I think the reason that I have a lot of confidence, I think the reason that I have a high degree of optimism towards pretty much everything in life is I know myself really, really well. I'm self-aware. And I think people who tend to be more anxious or glass half empty type personalities is when they allow those things to become glaring in their mind. They allow those mistakes to be a reflection of who they are rather than the wisdom that it gave them. So for me, it all comes down to that concept. It all comes down to the concept of self-awareness. And most importantly, I think my advice is, like, everyone wants to be happy, right? You ask someone, what do you want in life? And people are like, I just want to be happy. I think that's a good answer. I think the better answer would be, I just want to be at peace. Because happiness, I think we tie happiness to events, right? Happiness comes from finding a partner. Happiness comes from getting your dream job, so on and so forth. But those come and go, of course. But peace, like peacefulness, like calm, that's something that's always available inside of you. And that comes from self-awareness. That comes from peaceful acceptance of your past mistakes, in that they're giving you present wisdom. So a bunch of different themes I'm introducing there, but like fundamentally, that's where it comes from. And that comes from practice. Like, it's okay. Like, I get down on myself all the time, but I've trained myself so that I can be like, oh man, yeah, I had a bad day, but here's what it taught me, and I'm going to move forward. And the more I do that, the more I'm like, man, I can overcome anything. So yeah, I'm confident in myself. Of course, I'm confident in myself. So yeah, it kind of goes like that. I don't want to ramble, but yeah.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it, and you also you nailed it, and you talked about being reflective. And I know in your writing you mentioned someone named Adam Torrent that helped you along the way. Yeah. So Adam seems to have played a role in your life that is different than many. Who is he, and can you explain who he is and help us how he helped you in your own life?
Yeah, Adam Torrent's a low key legend. I mean, he's my mentor, advisor, and now like one of my business partners. I met him many, many years ago, probably 2015 or so. And he was very helpful initially when I knew nothing about writing online or internet marketing or being an entrepreneur. I knew absolutely nothing. So he's been instrumental in helping me learn the logistics of starting a company, running a company, being successful online, things like that. But more than that, like, he taught me the value of being stubborn in the things that guide you. Like, to my point earlier, I didn't think I really had anything special for 4 years. And he always, there was always something. I was like, man, I think I'm going to give up on this. And he's like, well, what about this? What about this? Try this, try that. And he just taught me the value of being super, super stubborn. I think being stubborn is an amazing quality in people. Sometimes it comes back to bite you, but I think overall being stubborn is probably one of the best qualities you could have, especially when it's stubborn around values or vision. And so, yeah, he played a big role in that, foundationally from a mindfulness perspective of pushing me to believe in what I had to offer, and then just logistically helping me discover ways to push that forward in my life. So yeah, I owe a lot to him. I work with him now on basically all my businesses, my book business, my podcast business, my talent business. And he's been really, really, really helpful. So, I mean, I could talk at length about the value of mentorship, but certainly proven there.
And it's always good to have someone in our lives to sort of pour back into us, because people like you and me and others that I bring on, we're constantly givers and givers and givers. And I always ask the question, how full is your bucket anyway? And so constantly we're giving and giving and giving. And it feels good when people sort of pour back into us. So speaking of pouring back into us, how can my listeners get in contact with you? How can they get your podcast, pick up your books? And then what are some of your final thoughts as we begin to wrap up this section?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's pretty easy. The podcast is called New Mindset Who Dis. You can go to newmindsetwhodis.com. That's where you can get all the journals or contact me. And then the best way to get a hold of me is through the website or case.kenny on Instagram. I've got a large following there. And I love chatting with people. I actually give out my phone number there. So I find a way to try to answer as many people as I can. Yeah, as far as like parting advice, like I think it goes in tune with some of the themes that I was talking about. One of my favorite things that I think I coined, I don't know if anyone's ever said this before, but I think one of the biggest ways that we overthink our lives or make ourselves feel anxious for no reason is we come to this assumption that there's a right way to live your life and that everyone else knows what it is and you don't know what it is. So the phrase that I say is, there's no right way to live your life, but there is a wrong way. And the wrong way is to think that there's a right way. And I think that's just really powerful, because the second you realize that there's no right way is the second you really set yourself free. You set yourself free, one, to establish your own career. I'm living proof of that. And two, you set yourself free to discover whatever it is that makes you at peace and you happy and you confident and your own measuring stick for success. And you take away that comparison that we do so easily with social media all the time. And it just really gives you a sense of freedom and calm when you realize that there's no right way, but there is a wrong way. And the wrong way is to think that there's a right way, to assume that there's a right way. There really isn't. So I just found that as really powerful grounding advice, not necessarily as advice, but just as like it levels the playing field for you. And sometimes that's all it is. Like you're not behind, you're not losing, you're not in the corner. Everyone's on the same page. You just got to realize that. I find that really invigorating to me.
Well, Case Kenny, it's been a pleasure talking to you. That was the first part of our show. The second part of our show was called the Super Bomb Questions, which is brought to you by Mountain Made. It is one of my favorite parts of the show. I get a chance to ask you some different questions that my listeners typically send in, and they want to know a little bit more about you. So I'm going to ask them quickly, and I want you to respond to them as quickly as possible. You've been doing great thus far, and I expect you to do the same thing. So, Case Kenny, are you ready for the Super Bomb Questions?
Let's do it.
Let's go. What is your favorite word?
Favorite word? Wow. Favorite word? I know perspective. It's got to be perspective.
Perspective. What's your favorite quote?
Favorite quote. Okay, this is going to sound really random, but my mom taught me this. It's proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. I've just always been big about always preparing for what I want to accomplish. A lot of P's in that word, so I remember it.
Shout out to mom. And perspective. Add the other P to it, right? So it's right in line with you. Right in line. What's your superpower?
What is my superpower? I think for me, it's simplifying. I think I just have even in like business, I've always found a way to simplify it, not overcomplicate things. Just what is it that we need to get done? What's the simplest way to do it? And then of course, in life and communicating, simplifying things.
What's your spirit animal?
Spirit animal. Man, I never thought of that one. Okay. I'll say manatee. For some reason, whenever I was young, I was always drawn to manatees. They're just so chill and cool, and they just go with the flow.
Go with the flow. What moves you to tears of joy?
I'd say other people transforming themselves. Like that just makes me so happy. And if I could be a part of that, even more so.
What moves you to tears of sorrow?
I'd say regret.
What do you wish you had more time to do?
Create more music. Yeah.
What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made?
I'd say in podcasting, honestly, like in one, like the studio, but two, just investing my knowledge in it and investing in the craft and the whole process.
What is the book or books you've given most as a gift, and why?
This is a random answer, but The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. It's a business book, but it's all about iterating and starting over and not being, too stubborn in something, being vulnerable enough to change your mind. And I think that's great for business and it's great for life. So yeah, I'd recommend that. If
you were in the Mr. America talent competition, Case Kelly, what would your talent be?
Oh man, you're so great. I don't know. I'd probably give like a 10-minute off the cuff talk on mindfulness. I think everyone could benefit from that.
Well, Case Kenny, it has been a joy hanging out with you in the bomb shelter. It's been a pleasure. I wish you much success. You have opened my eyes to just a lot of perspective using your word. Yes. And I'm sure my listeners are too. Listeners, you need to go and follow him, read everything he has, check out his podcast. So, brother, it's been a pleasure with you hanging out with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I also want to thank my engineer, Alexander Blanc, my super duper producer, Nicole Klempaka, Supremacy for our theme music, and all of you for listening. Make sure you subscribe. Also check out our YouTube channel. Leave a comment, stop being stingy, and share me with all of your friends. If you want to know more about me, you can visit drdrlds.com. And as always, believe that something wonderful is about to happen and that some people miss the message because they're too busy looking for the mess. Thanks for tuning in, and do something for someone other than yourself today. You've been listening to Sound Bombing. Thanks, Case. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
The Super Bomb questions are brought to you by Mountain Made CBD. Mountain Made is changing the CBD game by offering a line of high-dose CBD tablets at an affordable price. Their products are THC-free and third-party tested for accuracy, cleanliness, and potency. Their products, which ship nationwide, include Build for CBD saturation, Boost for precision titration, and Recover for rest and rehab. With 9 years experience in hemp and fitness, Mountain Made's founders are focused on creating a quality product to help those who live an activated lifestyle. Check out mountainmade.life. Again, that's mountainmade.life to find out more about how their products can help you crush life. Remember, their products ship nationwide. Go check out their website today and follow them on social media at Mountain Made. That's the @ MNTMADE. Our staff at Sound Bombing uses Build before a morning workout, which helps to push our bodies to a whole new level on a daily basis. Try Build, try Boost, try Recover. Our staff is using these products to enhance our active lifestyle naturally, and we are crushing life with Mountain Made CBD, and you can too. Start today by going to mountainmade.life and ordering Build, Boost, Recover, or the multitude of other products that they have which will enhance your lifestyle. I promise you, you won't regret it.